Hey everyone, Paulie here from HardDrive Radio, and we're sitting down in the studio today with the wonderful Diamante.
What's up, man?
I'm having a really great day. It's been kind of crazy, but I'm glad you're here. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's only been a couple of weeks since we last saw you in Wisconsin, and you kicked ass out there. And
thank you so much.
Now you're in our neighborhood kicking ass still, so I'm glad you took the time to come up and see us.
Yeah, I love New York. Love it so much.
How many times have you been to the city?
Quite a bit. When I was younger, I grew up in Boston, so I used to come here, I'm not kidding, every single weekend. And I'm like walking today, getting all these little flashbacks. I want to move here one day, but
good luck.
I know.
It's so expensive. It's not even funny.
And I complain about LA. Yeah.
You're right. Well, I mean, if you had to pick a more expensive place to live, I imagine LA or San Francisco probably. Just Anywho, let's talk about more exciting things, music. And I actually want to start a little bit of background and maybe just kind of ask, how you got started, growing up with music. When was your first exposure to it?
So I knew right when I was like 6 years old that I loved to sing. I think it really started with Disney movies. I used to sing the Little Mermaid song in the shower all day, every day. And my mom kind of took the hint, like, oh wow, she can actually keep a tune, maybe this is going to be her hobby, whatever. And I started doing musical theater in elementary school, and I got like the lead role in Grease. I was Sandy. It was my first time being on stage, and I grew up being really shy and introverted, and that was the first time that I didn't feel like that, which was really cool. I was like a different persona. I was able to be in front of like 100 people, 200 people, and project on stage, and I knew that I loved that feeling. And then when I was 13, my entire family, we all moved to LA from Boston, and I did this thing called School of Rock. And it's like a summer camp for kids who just want to get into music. And that's when I was first exposed to rock music, and I was able to cover songs from Black Sabbath, Led Zeppelin, Blondie, and that was the first time I ever played a rock show. And I just remember that feeling of being on stage and that energy, and just, it was like addicting. Like I wanted to feel it all the time.
Right. Who are the artists that you listen to that inspire you now?
I love classic rock, and I love the 80s for some reason, even though I wasn't alive during the 80s. I don't know. I feel like my soul maybe is from the 80s. And so I am heavily influenced by the women of the 80s, like Joan Jett, Pat Benatar, Stevie Nicks, Debbie Harry. I just think they were so cool and confident. And growing up, I wanted to be like them, And in high school, I would listen to like Lizzie Hale and The Pretty Reckless and Paramore. And I've also like had some pop in my upbringing too. Like Pink was a big one. Avril Lavigne, her first album was huge in my life. Kelly Clarkson. Really just, I loved women who had these powerful, gritty voices. That's what I gravitated towards.
Do you ever try to like emulate any of them in your act? Steal some moves maybe from on stage?
Not so much moves, but just knowing, like singing along to them for hours on end. Yeah, sometimes I think singing along to Hayley Williams, I realized like, oh, I can do this cool thing with my voice. It's just, it happens like that.
One of the things that immediately kind of grabbed me about your live performances is the visual aesthetics as well. And, as you can see, you pay attention to how you look. It's part of, the Diamante experience. And I want to just know, when was the first time you decided I need blue hair?
It was actually really impulsive. I wish I had like a really cool deep story, but the net is I was platinum blonde for about 3 years, and then I started like noticing like, wow, like, everyone is platinum blonde right now. I'm really bored of this, even though I had like this entire side of my head buzz cut shaved, but I was just tired of it and I wanted to do a crazy color. I had only done like fire truck bright red before, and I went to my hair lady in LA on Melrose, and she's like, I got like a lavender purple and I got an electric blue, and I instinctively just said, let's do blue. Nice. And then after a while I realized, well, blue has always been my favorite color. My name means diamond. To me, diamonds are blue. My pseudo middle name and the name that my parents were gonna name me is Azzura, which means blue in Italian. So it all just kind of, it fit, it worked.
Is that like a family name that they call you?
Not really, but they always tell me like that was the second choice. Like we were almost going to name you that because when you first opened now they're green, but when I was a baby and I first opened my eyes, they told me that it was like piercing blue, but they went with diamond. So
that's a good choice too.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Everyone is like, so how'd you come up with your like stage name? I'm like, wasn't me. No.
Check the birth certificate.
Yep.
your stage outfits. You have very cool taste in clothes. I mean, this
Thank
jacket you're
you.
wearing right now is so freaking cool.
I love this jacket.
Where do you get them? Like, where do you look to do you make them yourself? How does
No, I'm not that talented. I wish. I would also save so much money if I did that. But I on this summer tour, I actually ended up hiring a stylist because I wanted a more elevated stage look. And a lot of what I get is like LA on Melrose. You go to all these like cool vintage rock and roll stores and you find stuff like this. And this, just you look online, you're like, leather pants. You can't go wrong with leather pants,
right? Easy. So I do want to talk about a couple songs, and I want to start with a little bit of history. And I think for most people who listen to HardDrive, their first introduction to you as a singer was your duet with Bad Wolves for Hear Me Now. So tell me about how you got involved with that and the experience of like recording with Tommy in the studio.
Yeah, so that whole thing was kind of like a movie almost. This was around the time when Zombie was just taking off for the band, and I was contacted by my label. He said, hey, we have this band we just kind of signed. They're pretty new, and they have this song, and they want you to sing on it. And so I listened to the song, and I fell in love with it, like right away, absolutely. I was like, of course, let's go. Little did I know that meant 5 days later. And I was sitting in class, because I also go to college, and I was sitting in class in Redlands, California, which is about an hour outside of LA. And my manager calls me on the phone, and he tells me, you gotta get in the studio right now. I'm like, I'm kind of like super far away. I don't think I can do it today. He's like, no, you don't get it. You gotta go right now. They need you. I was like, okay. So I get up in the middle of class. My teacher's like, where are you going? I'm like, I can't. I just got to go. I'll explain later. I bolted. I booked it down the freeway. Went to the studio in Burbank. I met Tommy for the very first time that day, recorded the song that day, shot the music video that day, all in the first day. And then I think a couple days after that, song was released. The reception was incredible, like monumental. People loved that song. And so Tommy had the idea to bring me out the entire last summer and sing with them every night on stage.
I remember that. When they came through New York, I was there, and you guys were amazing together. I'm sure like going out every night and singing that song must have been really exciting for you.
So cool, especially because that was my first time ever stepping out onto arena stages and amphitheater stages and touring with bands like Shinedown and Breaking Benjamin and Five Finger Death Punch. And it was almost like a preface of what this summer is. Nice. It was like a training thing.
As a quick aside, are you still in school?
Not this. I mean, I am, but I'm like on leave of absence.
Got it.
So every time I go out on tour, I tell them I'm going to be gone X amount of months, and I come back, and then I do a semester when I'm writing, and it's worked out so far. I'm like a year and a half away from graduating. If I had just gone straight through, I would already have my degree by now, but I'm kind of like doing other things. So
it's kind of important.
I'm trying, but education is important to me. My mom was big, like she went to Harvard when she was 28 with 4 kids, so it's like she can do it, I can do it,
That's impressive.
Yeah.
What are you studying?
Business.
Smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's important to know your business, especially as a musician. You got to know
especially as a
everything
musician
that's going on.
Yeah,
that's a good choice. What did your mom study?
I think she studied fine art. She was super into art history. So she can tell you like every painting by every painter and every cathedral and blah, blah, blah.
Must
be like,
really
okay,
cool.
Mom.
That must be cool to go to museums with her, actually.
Oh, she loves museums.
All right, so
yeah.
I'm going to call your mom later.
All right. Yeah, we'll set it up.
When you had to ditch your class and go record with Tommy, you came back, did you tell your teacher what happened? Did they believe you? You're like, I had to go record a song with this hit band real quick.
Yes, and thankfully that teacher was super cool because it's always... with school, it's always been hit or miss whenever I tell teachers what I do as a, it's a career for me. So it's not even a hobby. Like, hey, this is what I do for a living. I know I'm only like, I was 20, 21. Like, I know I'm 20, 21, but this is literally what I do. So I had to leave. I'm sorry. And she was a huge fan of like what I did and my music. So she was very supportive. But I've had teachers in the past who were like, I don't care if you had a concert. F.
Lame.
I don't care.
Bad. Come on, what is this, Footloose?
I don't know.
Anyway, one of the other songs I wanted to ask you about, we're a big fan of covers on this show, and you do a kick-ass cover of Crazy on You.
Thank you.
By Heart on your album Coming in Hot. Tell me about, picking that song. Was there always a plan to put a cover on that album in the first place? How did you get to doing that?
There wasn't always a plan to put a cover, but because I'm, like I said, I'm so obsessed with the 80s and the women of the 80s, we decided that I did want to put a cover on that album. And I thought, well, if I'm going to put a cover on this album, I want to pick like the most vocally challenging song ever and like really push myself, because everybody knows that Heart is like the rock version of Aretha Franklin. Like, it's really hard to sing. But, you know, it was like, if you're going to do it, do it. Go hard or go home.
And you did it.
Thank you.
And it was good. Was it challenging to record? I mean,
yeah. I don't know how she does it. There's like crazy high notes and then notes that you hold out forever, and I had to do multiple takes of, you know, really holding in my breath and letting it all go. It was fun to do, though. You know, I like pushing myself to the limit. Is
it something you'd ever want to do live?
I have done live.
Oh,
yeah.
You have?
Yeah. It's really fun, but the only thing I do differently is I will do a cover of Skid Row's Youth Gone Wild, and then halfway through the song I'll transition into Crazy on You, and the crowd is like, yeah, that opening guitar riff. I love that moment. You
know what? Now that you say that, I'm thinking back, because I've seen you play New York before, and I think it was like last year.
Gramercy.
But now that you say, yes, it was Gramercy, and I'm trying to remember your set list, and now that you say that, I'm like, oh yeah, you did do that. I guess I just spaced on it. My bad. That's on me. You do have a new song out now. It's called When I'm Gone.
When I'm Not Around.
When I'm Not Around.
Yes.
Tell me about that song.
So this song is I still can't believe it. It's written by Diane Warren, who is legendary. Everyone knows she's legendary. And what's interesting is I pride myself immensely on writing my own lyrics. To me, that's how I connect with my own music. I have never put out a song that I didn't write unless it was already a released cover. So hearing the song for the first time, I had this feeling that I had written it. Like, wow, this is my story. Like, I almost feel like these are my words. And so I told my A&R at the label, I told him, I need to record this song. I need to record it. And he tells me, well, it's a Diane Warren song. You know, that might be a hard push. And she said yes to recording it, which was huge. I did it at NRG Studios back in LA before leaving for this tour. And the coolest thing ever is when she heard the final product, she loved it. And she said, exactly, you believe every word that I'm singing. And to me, that's the biggest compliment, because they're her words and I wanted to do them justice and really nail the vocal delivery. And I ended up meeting her, and I went to her like studio and we listened to the song on her console, and she's so excited about it. So that makes me really excited about it.
When you get into situations like these and you meet like these prolific songwriters, do you find it difficult to kind of like hold back and not just like completely geek out?
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm like, okay, be cool, Dia, be cool. But it's Diane Warren. You can't, you have to sometimes just embrace the movie moments and just, yeah.
I would imagine just showing, the right amount of enthusiasm is probably good. You don't want to play it too cool.
Yeah.
Because I try to do that too. Like, I get to sit here and talk to amazing rock stars all day, and like inside I'm like, oh my God. But on the outside I'd be like, yeah, so, tell me about your new album, whatever.
Of course, yeah.
You gotta kind of find that fine line where you don't seem standoffish, but you also want to convey the enthusiasm.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. Since you've recorded this song, is there any other new music that's coming down the pipeline? I mean, I know Coming in Hot just came out, June last year, so it's barely a year old at this point.
Yeah.
Is there more music coming? Are you working on new stuff?
I am working on new stuff. I am in the studio a bunch obviously when I'm not on the tour, but I've been like writing with new producers, new writers, just in like the demo phase. But that's all I can say.
Okay.
That's all I can say.
Okay. I mean, maybe I can drag a little more.
I am excited about the new stuff that I am writing, though.
As you should be.
Yeah.
If you weren't excited about it, what's the point, right?
I just feel like I've really grown as a songwriter, which is exciting.
Are you working with Howard Benson again, or different producers this time?
I haven't even picked a producer yet. I'm really just like still in the early stages.
Very, very preliminary stages. All right. Yeah. Well, we will be waiting to hear new stuff. I'm very excited about that.
Diamante 2.0.
That's right. About the tour, man. What a package. I mean, you got Breaking Benjamin, you got Chevelle, you got 3 Days Grace, and you got Diamante. I mean,
and Dorothy.
Too. I mean, it's an insane lineup. It's so cool. There's so many great bands on this package. How's it going so far?
So fun. And the best part ever, I mean, obviously the shows themselves are great, the crowds. I meet all the fans in between sets and after my set, so I'm really like getting into it and meeting as many people as possible. But the bands, like the hang is awesome. We're all friends. We all hang out after the show. We like put a boom box in the parking lot, like outside the buses, and we have like dance parties, and everyone's just been so cool.
Who's got the best playlist?
Oh, I feel like 3 Days Grace is always in charge of the playlists, and like we'll go. It's cool. Like we go from like Metallica to Madonna, and like there's no judgment. We just go all over.
Those guys have some eclectic taste. They're
Yeah,
fun. Yeah,
they're super cool.
Has there been a stomp on the run so far that stood out to you as particularly your favorite, or just maybe a really engaging crowd?
Oh man, where were we yesterday? Homedale. I'm sorry, there's so many dates, but the crowd was really cool for that one. Yeah.
In Jersey?
Yeah, Jersey's cool.
We won't hold that against you. No, I see shows there all the time. It's a good venue. When you're on the road, I mean, it's not an easy life to live. You basically have to just carry everything with you. So besides the obvious thing, like, socks and underwear, what are your road essentials that you need to have to live on the road?
Oof. Not to sound like a diva, but I have 2 suitcases of clothes. I have one for everyday clothes, and then I have one solely just for show clothes. Headphones, phone charger. I have like my little snacks that I eat when I'm home that I like routinely eat, so I always pack those with me, like protein bars, snack? Like Cliff Bars, stuff like that. Just because I try to be super healthy on the road, and I know like if I have that, I'm good. What else? Like 10,000 pairs of shoes. I need options, I need to feel like, okay, I haven't worn these shoes like 10,000 times already. Jackets. It's always shoes and jackets.
All right. So snacks, clothes, the stuff you'd expect. That's good. That's nothing too weird.
No.
Security blanket. Nothing.
No, but I like on the first day we did go to Walmart, and I got super excited, and I got like a blue blankie and a blue sheets, and I got blue LED lights, and I decked out the whole bus in the blue LED lights because I wanted it to feel like, like, oh, this is my bus, and I customized it.
One of the things we always ask the bands that come through here is for the not so great moments on the road where everything goes wrong or just like something ridiculous happens. We call them the Spinal Tapian moments, where maybe if somebody got lost backstage, or maybe the bus stopped for gas and somebody gets left at the side of the road because they didn't know they left.
That happened yesterday. Yeah.
Oh, did it really? So somebody got left in Jersey. I'm sorry.
Half my band got left at a McDonald's, and we were like already 20 minutes out before we realized. So, yeah. And we were making fun of that too, and of course it happens. Yeah, I call that there's never a dull moment. Something always comes up, and I think what makes you a real artist is how you roll with the punches, because not every day is going to be sunshine and rainbows, and not every day is going to be craziness, but as long as you can keep your head on straight and just do your job and have fun at it, I think you're going to be okay.
That's a great point. I mean, people only get to see really the upside of this. They see you on stage having a great time, or they're looking at the Instagram feed and they're seeing everybody having fun backstage or whatever. They don't see the moments where, you're on the road for 30 hours and you want to jump out a window. I mean, how do you get through the rough spots and get back to the good spots?
Well, luckily for me, I love being on tour. I know a lot of other bands and like musicians who they really struggle with it just because they don't love the lifestyle. For me, and people are like, oh, it's because you're 22, Dia, just wait, just give it 10 years. But for me, I love being in a different city every night. I love this like vagabond pirate life where you're just with your band and you're on a bus and you're just going like adventure after adventure. I'm not sick of it at all. But there are days when, I miss my dog, I miss my friends, I miss my family. So I think as long as you stay connected with these people, especially on the days maybe when you feel alone or you're just not feeling great that day, it really helps.
Well, we've been talking with Diamante here. The new single, When I'm Not Around, is out now, so go check it out. Dee, thank you so much for coming to see us, and look forward to seeing you on the road.
Thank you so much for having me.